Welcome back, my people, to Israel's Reviews, and we're going to be dissecting and reviewing today The House of Gucci, starring Lady Gaga, Al Pacino, Jared Leto, Jeremy Irons, and the list goes on. This movie was star-studded, but the question was the movie good? Well, let's get into it. There were quite a number of reasons for wanting to see The House of Gucci. The advertising did intrigue me, and this is just a film that will be over the top, but entertaining in its own way, especially coming to direct this film was Ridley Scott, who his filmography is a hit and miss as a legend. And I say that very highly, He was brilliant at his best with the movies Alien, Blade Runner, but then you have movies like G.I. Jane and Robin Hood and Legend, in my point of view, that were pretty underrated but not too great. The main draw was the cast in this one. So, Lady Gaga, who's a very gifted performer. She shows so much inspiration, such a good person in real life, and brings that to the role, even though she's not playing a so good woman in this one, but she definitely brings out such a charismatic role, and being the selling point of this movie. For me, though, the biggest selling points besides her was seeing Al Pacino and Jeremy Irons and their chemistry again on that silver screen, because prior they were in a movie called A Merchant in Venice, which was also a good movie, and that chemistry between them is legit. You really enjoy it. And then you have Jared Leto, who has always been a very take and leave kind of actor. He has great movies and then not so great movies, and then great movie and then not so great movie. And House of Gucci turned out to be one of those difficult to rate and review sort of films for me, especially because it's going to be one of those films that some are going to love, some are going to hate, and there's going to be far few in between. It's hugely flawed. It's a flawed film, but there were also a lot to enjoy at the same time. As far as Scott's films go, it's a milling effort. Neither of his best or worst. I'll say it was a okay film. House of Gucci has a lot of good in my point of view. There's very little to complain when it comes to about how the movie looks. The cinematography is great. Apart from some editing being in need of tightening, in the final act especially, the Italian scenery and the costumes are truly stunning. The camera work is similarly sumptuous. Scott's direction is uneven dramatically, but it's very impressive on a technical level, especially his use of multiple cameras, which must make it easy for the actors to know where to look. The soundtrack is also wonderful and beautifully sculpted in kind of like an opera kind of feel, very Italy, It was beautiful. But from a standalone point of view, there are no complaints here. The supporting cast played a part in this movie. I think they came off pretty good. Pacino coming off his best movie, having a great time as Aldo. Jeremy Irons brings his vulnerability and authority as the patriarch Rodolfo in this movie. Salma Hayek gives some of her best acting in years. Her last movie, Eternals, I didn't really enjoy. Wasn't fully her fault, but I think she utilized the character in a particularly great way in that movie. There were many that are going to disagree with me, but that's just my take. I really like the chemistry as a whole. Lady Gaga, Adam Driver are great together. Lady Gaga and Salma Hayek are great together. While that Irons and Pacino, their chemistry is awesome. It's a joy to see on screen. This movie does have a great individual scenes also. One of the most magnificent encounters is between Jeremy Irons and Pacino. And that scene goes extremely well, as well as a few funny moments, believe it or not, in such a dramatic film like this one. With Jeremy Irons' character, Rodolfo, verbalizing and brutalizing of Pacino's character, that was gold, and it sums up the viewer's opinion of him and his work perfectly. I felt like the ending was very rushed and anticlimactic. It was handled with too much of an indifferent like shrug. It was after spending so long on the family stuff and not developing that enough, I felt the increasingly uneasy spurts of comedy where they trickled in, the event that caused such a sensation is just to throw away this in the treatment of the film didn't make sense to me. Tonally, House of Gucci is messy. The comedy was going for kind of a campy approach, and that didn't make sense to me because this is a very serious film. It goes too far. In the second half, there's some serious moments that were being a little too melodramatic. There's tonal shifts that can be uneasily abrupted. The script has some funny and intriguing moments, but is on the whole too overwritten, I feel, at times. Leto's comedy increasingly gets, throughout the film, it gets a little too much. Emotionally, I felt like it was bland. The descent to revenge is not examined enough in this movie. And also too much of a trying to include as many iconic lines as possible. That I didn't understand. The movie, the costumes, everything was iconic. You didn't need that much dialogue to explain certain things. A lot of people know about the story. Some of the line delivery has to be heard to be believed. Can't imagine right now the amount of reaction, gifts online in regard to some of the more comedic lines and Leto's body language. It's just one of those movies, Thank God I didn't go into the movie with huge expectations, but, to conclude this review, this movie was hugely flawed, but was also quite fun at the same time. And you have to take it for what it is. I gave this movie a 2 out of 5. Or if you like 10, 5.5 out of 10. I was how to score this movie because some of the acting definitely holds up, and then some doesn't. Some things over the top, and some, Lady Gaga she was the star of the movie. She steals almost every scene that she's in, and I had to round it up, basically give it a 5.5 out of 10, and I look forward to her coming back and performing in the upcoming movies that she has going on. She's definitely a gem. I look forward to seeing her future work. Definitely go check this out and let me know what you think. Okay? If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, subscribe to the next one.